Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar between us, Cargo Chief, and Freight Management Systems, or as you might know them, FMS. Today we'll be going over our digital freight matching integration here with FMS and their TMS LoadPlus Pro. So more of kind of an informative session covering the integration and what automating that booking process looks like. Talking about the integration and getting into the workflow a little bit later towards the end, I've got Henry Sheldon, President and CEO over there at FMS, and myself, Chris Arredondo, co-founder and VP of pretty much everything customer related here at Cargo Chief. There's probably not a hat that I haven't worn, except for coding. Don't have any business doing that. So kind of as a quick agenda, first we're going to talk about why this integration was a fit for not just us and FMS, but our customers as well. We'll also get into a little bit more about digital freight matching with our procurement and automation software called C4, what it is and how it's different from some of the other solutions out there. Before we hop into a live demo there in FMS or in LoadPlus Pro, I'll be sharing some kind of overall results from one of our other customers and looking at what you can expect to gain from our take on booking freight and kind of the integration as a whole. So let's talk about how this partnership came together. Henry, we were talking earlier, I guess, the other day or last week or something, and it seemed like you were looking to build kind of a one-of-a-kind experience. Can you start there at the beginning, what you were doing in the past there with the TMS LoadPlus Pro, and then kind of how you saw it evolving with, let's just call it partnerships and DFM like ours?
Yeah, Chris, thank you. So digital freight matching, when we started learning about what companies like Cargo Chief, what you're doing out there, it just makes sense because in the past we've been just looking at load boards. So if you think about your available loads going out to your load boards, and you're kind of doing the shotgun approach. Hopefully you could find a good carrier, but what's happening as our customers are telling us is that they're not getting the quality carriers that they really want from the load boards. So when looking at the digital freight matching and seeing how you can really help your preferred carriers find your freight and really wanting to get the freight to them first, that's where it just makes sense. So to me, it's a transition from load boards to digital freight matching. And then what Cargo Chief is doing, what we really like with the C4 product is not only is it digital freight matching, it's also helps you with the pricing, and you guys even help with finding some new carriers at certain times with and that might be added to the mix rather than just preferred carriers. So between those components, it was a unique offering, and we said, you know what, let's go ahead and get that integrated as with this, because it's really just going to be an added bonus and help our customers. So the customers asking for this, and we just saw this as a great partnership.
Yeah, and I think here at Cargo Chief we offer kind of two solutions. One, an off-the-shelf product, and kind of like what Henry mentioned, we've got pricing and all the other components, but also that integrated experience like this with LoadPlus Pro, where that's really where most of our customers see that immediate ROI and that high product adoption. So very excited to get this integration going and this partnership moving forward. So happy to see kind of where it comes to. A little bit more about Cargo Chief. We're a freight tech company, not a brokerage or anything. We solve some of the issues when it comes to, let's call it sporadic capacity, volatility of the market with rating, and then that kind of third layer there, that data fragmentation, in the sense that there's not often really one place that centralizes information that serves it up. So like a broker like you or any entity can book more freight or even price competitive enough to win more freight. So together with FMS, we felt it was a good fit to help kind of that customer experience, deliver something that they can't really get anywhere else, and cover all the possible angles of DFM, I guess, and automation as it continues to evolve. So a little bit more about digital freight matching. Let's kind of get into this piece, DFM, I guess, if you will, and understand what it is for those that this really might be a new term for. I think as the industry continues to evolve, this term will change and continue to transform how a digital match in itself is used and what comes thereafter. today we here at Cargo Chief see it more through, we see like DFM and that digital match more through the lens of procurement. But at the same time, delivering that rapid capacity without all the legwork and the right fit for the lane or that load, also at the right price. Different from load boards, kind of what Henry was saying. Our DFM solution is more geared to driving in those high quality options and digital carrier engagements. Also, by having really more control over who sees your freight. We also put a lot of emphasis on carrier attention while expanding your network. And I'll talk about how that's unique to C4 in our kind of lead sourcing platform in a few slides with that capacity section. But for us, digital freight matching or DFM doesn't just stop with that quality carrier selection. It goes beyond that in the freight matching part by also including or matching those current rates using C4's pricing engine. If you think about more or less a third layer or a layered approach to DFM and kind of how we look at it, is that we're able to also keep your carrier network up to date with compliance requirements, not just set on our side, but as you qualify or dequalify or even set up new carriers there in LoadPlus Pro. So it's a pretty dynamic stream of a carrier sync where you don't really have to worry about who's good, who's not. If they're in your TMS, they're probably already qualified to some degree, at least that fit your standards. So that's another kind of third layer that we kind of look at this. So let's look at the actual DFM, I guess, and let me walk you through kind of how this works. Ultimately, the main reason I'd say why customers lean into Cargo Chief and buy into C4, our procurement and automation software, is to drive that digital care engagement, increase their options, and then to pre-book more freights. So here, let's kind of look at where it starts. As soon as your load is built there in LoadPlus Pro, your load's immediately sent to Cargo Chief and the option process starts. We can set different criteria and conditions based on specific customer freight, customer codes, or even time-based delays if you wanted for C4 to start matching at that point. But generally, this is kind of where that layered approach starts, using our unique carrier lead platform paired with our market rates if you're looking for that low touch, high quality carrier option. Carriers engage with us or with you directly through your inbox, or they can also click a button to log rate straight into LoadPlus Pro if they happen to behave like that. We often see a lot of carriers just really replying or picking up the phone. Just let's face it, that's kind of the nature of the industry. That's often how carriers like to work. So our DFM solution will pull in more options than that traditional sourcing method or other matching platforms, but it may again require a little more conversation on the front end, since we focus more on driving in that engagement and prioritizing your next decision, but at the same time giving you more control over what I said earlier, who takes your freight and who has eyes on it. It's important to kind of know that, because with that comes that product adoption. There's little interruption into your team's current workflow to where they're not really having to log into a portal. Your carriers aren't having to log into another load board or a portal. We interact just as they're used to behaving today in terms of carriers, and really just as your reps or your team is used to covering freight either through their inbox or over the phone. We're just really expediting that communication and expediting that option process to ultimately end up booking your freight. So let's talk about the capacity leg here, and Henry is going to take you through that entire workflow a little bit later, so you can see firsthand. Before we kind of get there, I want to talk about these two layers, and I've been talking about this layered approach and the differentiation in that process. First is this capacity leg, which will often be 3 times the number of carriers reached than it would be rather than just your internal network. The reason why we can have a bigger spread or a bigger cast net is by the way that we aggregate that lane information on carriers. For example, here on the right, at least my right, you may see, or you may book Merck's Global on Houston to Atlanta. Let's call Houston to Atlanta regularly, but you may have never booked them on a lane like Columbus to Chicago. Since Merck's Global has booked Columbus to Chicago with one of our other users, other 100 brokers on C4, your carrier network is now expanded an additional lane. And so any others that are being booked in the C4 network, that not only allows you to automate that carrier attention, not worrying about like, when do I reach out to Merck's whenever I've got that load, but also pre-book more freight by leveraging every single lane a carrier runs from loads that hit the C4 network and not just your own. So it's really the big difference in that it's even right now as we're on this webinar and covering this topic, loads are being booked in the C4 network, lanes are being added to carriers without anyone having to do anything. And it's not really, you have the option to, go and use that information if you wanted in a procurement sense, but the automation side, it's really about having a system and a platform that can automate that outreach for you. The second layer here is really our pricing engine that really gives a true prediction of the current market for that up to the minute accuracy. Today, we're processing somewhere around like 60,000 loads a week. So you can imagine how, in terms of size, how many loads you move a month versus how many we're processing a week. While we're also able to emphasize that more current data as loads are booked rather than delivered, that allows kind of C4 to react to the market just before loads have even been picked up as each load gets processed in C4. So if you think on the coverage side, your other rating tools may be telling you that, I don't know, maybe you're going to pay somewhere around $2,000, let's call it $2,000. But if the market is already swung in the other direction, you could easily be overpaying if you haven't kept tabs on where that market has gone. So you'll have that market rating control if you want to override your target rate, or I believe that's the field there in LoadPlus Pro. You can override that with C4's rates if the market happens to be lower than what you were originally going after to offer your carriers, to giving you more room for more margin. So here, looking at one of our customers, HTS Logistics, they're a tightly integrated customer. Within the first 30 days, they started seeing not just an increase in that digital carrier engagement, but also a reduction in the cost of booking a load, which is really important if you're trying to scale, grow, and keep costs lean. They were able to do that by 90%, which is pretty amazing when you think about costs these days and how much overhead can be. With that too, their coverage grew without any resources spending time building out profiles. No one was creating an Excel sheet, writing things down in a notebook. Everything just happened in an automated fashion because C4 did it for them. At the same time, they were also booking more loads because they had the coverage to take on more freight from the customers that they had, and they could shoulder on more and new risk by knowing they had that dominant coverage and market share. And I think, kind of coming back everything full circle, when it came down to quality, they saw a huge jump in options than that of their previous ways of sourcing that led directly to revenue and load growth. So if you'd like to read the full case study, I will be happy to share that with all of you, or you can go to our website, cargochief.com, and see it there. All right, maybe to the live demo, yeah? Henry, I'm going to pass it over to you. If you want to kind of kick us off and see really what this would look like there in LoadPlus Pro.
Sure. Okay.
Stop sharing. There you go.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Can you see my screen here, Chris and everybody? Okay.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So we're in LoadPlus Pro. Many of the attendees in here will probably be able to recognize this. This is our TMS platform. So we made this integration very easy. You don't do much different than what you do today. So if we're going to go into just a regular load creation, as I'm making the load, so I'm going to go ahead and just put a customer in. We see ABC blocks come in. Here's the customer information. Here's our bill to information. And now we're going to put them in as a shipper. So if I want to keep the same customer as a shipper, we can use our shortcuts that most are familiar with. And we can just say, okay, this customer is now going to be our shipper. Okay. And then we have our shipper in here. Okay. And we have our first load number. Now, if you notice, our status is available incomplete. So we're not ready. The integration's not going to happen yet. We have to get this to an available load. So we're just going to go right through here. If you haven't seen LoadPlus Pro in a while, this is new. We're in here where you can just do inline editing, and we can just come right in here and put our dates. So we'll say this is going to be picked up tomorrow, blocks, and we can have let's just say we're going to put 29,000 pieces here. Okay. All right, let me get a consignee in here, and then we're going to talk about some of the rates and that sort of thing, which pertains to Cargo Chief. So let me get a consignee in. I'm going to add consignee. We'll go to a saved consignee in the system. All right, And let's just get a delivery date for, let's say, Monday. Okay. Put our blocks in here and save. Okay. All right. So now we have our pickup. We're going to make a simple pickup delivery from San Diego to Virginia here. And then we're going to put our rates in over here. So this is our customer rate first. So let's say I quoted my customer at $5,500 for this move. Okay. Now over here, the carrier rate. So this is our target rate that we want to put in. This is an unassigned carrier. We're not ready. So this is the rate that's going to show up in C4 unless you use their rating tool to override this rate, which is what Chris was talking about in his part of his demo. So if I put in here 4,500, that's my book price. So if they accept that, that's what they're gonna get it as, and then you can go ahead and book them onto the load. All right. They can also bid against this price. So they can say, okay, I'll do it for 4,300 or so. Okay. Now so I have the price in here, but before I do anything, again, we have available and complete. I'm about to turn it to available. What you do have to do, there's one box that you have to check. Everybody's familiar with this post box or at least most people are familiar with this post box that makes the load go to a load board. Well, now we have this allow auto book. This goes towards our digital freight matching. So if you have this set on, that means this load will be part of digital freight matching. It's that easy. You don't have to do anything in the back. You don't have to do any other screens or anything like that. It goes in the background just like the load boards do. We wanted to make this easy like load boards. So when you're ready, you click make load available. Are you sure? Yep. And as soon as it becomes available, it's now going into the background and posting this to the digital freight matching when you're ready. Now I had mine so that it does turn off, so we don't actually go there. But when everything happens, you then see this on your available load board. Okay, so here's our load, and we see it here. Now, let's say in C4 that you get a bid, and so what happens in C4 is that they can either tell you that they're going to book it, and you're going to get an email back to the person that entered the load, or they're going to tell you whether they're going to ask for a bid against the load. If you get a bid back, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a little flag in here that shows that C4 has sent you a bid. And you also get a notification up here that the bid has come in, and you also get an email. So get a bunch of different ways of getting notifications. Okay. When that happens, inside your contact history screen, a bid will come in. So I'm going to do it manually, but I want to show you what it's going to look like. So if Conway, for example, one of my preferred carriers, sent me a bid, okay, like this, and let's say they did the bid for $4,300. Okay. And I'm going to hit save here, but this will automatically come in. This is the way it would look. The bid would come in, show that it came from C4. You automatically see the bid, and you can immediately see your profit. So this is the contact history. And then if that bid looks good, then you'll be able to contact Conway and say, "Yep, you got the booking," and go ahead and book and send them a rate agreement or that sort of thing. I mean, you can do all of this digitally. You don't even need to really pick up the phone unless you really feel like you have to. So it's a pretty cool integration. We're built right in. Just like most of our integrations, you don't have to go to many other sites or anything like that unless you feel like you have to.
I think one of the cool things is you can default that button, I believe, right, Henry? That audio post. So like you don't really have to, like, during the setup. And one of the beautiful things, which I really like about this partnership, is that we do the setup for you. Like we don't do, there's no resources involved on the customer's end or the user's end. Cargo Chief and FMS will work together to do that setup, and we'll walk through like different criteria, kind of what we were talking about. Do you want to use C4's rates to override yours if the market's lower, or whatever you'd like to do, set any parameters there. And then also setting up that as like a default post. So like I think some pitfalls to like load boards is sometimes you have to go and manually post that load out, where like FMS and LoadPlus Pro has that technology to just default that there already, so you can really start pre-booking like crazy and get that freight off the board.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our goal is to make this easy. You know, we don't want you to go through a bunch of steps to do this, you know, and that's not going to save you time. We want to be able to get these loads right into C4. Let your broker start seeing them immediately and get these things booked. I mean, that's what's going to increase the number of bookings that you're going to have. It's got to be easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right.
Okay, so I'll stop my share here. That takes me about where you know, it's what we can see, and if we can always have questions and answers to the end here if anybody needs to see anything else. But like you said, we make it pretty easy to get it, send the loads and get it set up. So I'll turn it back over to you, Chris.
Yeah, so kind of as we conclude here, just another comment there on like DFM and automating the booking process. I get a lot of questions about revenue all the time. Like there's a lot of tools out there that focus on coverage, but still revenue is always something that deserves attention still. And most of our customers look at DFM as a way for them to gain market share by coverage expansion. With that too, kind of like I was explaining with Hickory or HTS Logistics, they're able to take more risk and take those new loads in volume rather than one load at a time, because they know they've got that coverage. So it's really thinking about like the flip side. If you've got automation and an extensive network that just literally, I think we have coverage on every lane. There shouldn't be a lane with anything short of 50 carriers. But like getting the freight on the books and worrying about margin later will help put you in a much better position than rather than spending hours trying to book a few loads out of nowhere, Illinois to no one wants to go Pennsylvania with higher margin too. So if you're looking to book more freight, price competitively and gain that market share, then we'll be here to talk. If you'd like to go ahead and express your interest, if this is something you'd like to hear more about and sign up, consider the first 30 days of DFM or digital freight matching on us on Cargo Chief when you sign up for a C4 subscription. If you're already a C4 customer, and again, I recognize some of the names there, and you're on LoadPlus Pro with FMS, then we're happy to share that same discount, that same offering for that first 30 days. So just reach out to your CSM about integrating, or feel free to just respond to the poll here. So as you answer the poll, we'll go ahead and open up for some Q&A. So I forgot to mention along the kind of the process, if you had any questions, to enter those in the Q&A, but if you have any that came up, just feel free to answer those or put those in the Q&A and we'll get to them. I do have one here. Henry, this one's probably for you. How long does the integration setup take and what are the steps?
Okay, well, again, like, you know, so with Pro and the way we're approaching our new generation of our TMS is we are a managed TMS. What that means is that our team, I mean, I think most of our customers agree that that we have a great customer success and customer support team. We really help you out, and the same goes along with this integration. The only thing you have to do really is sign up with C4 and let us know that you signed up. We reach out on your behalf and we set it all up in the background. So all we do is we get it all set up. We then email you back and say, yep, it's set up, and you go ahead and start. I mean, it's really that easy. There's nothing for you to do on your end except for, you know, take a look at C4, make sure it's right for you, and then get signed up.
Yeah, that's important because like I think, you know, I was at a TIA show pre-pandemic and integration was this thing, and APIs and EDIs and all this stuff. And I think like there's still some integrations these days that do take, you know, a couple months to get fully set up, but like having a day one solution and just letting it run, figuring out, like working with us too, like Cargo Chief, we've all booked freight, we've all slung freight, like we get it. We know kind of the nuances and what to expect. So like we're here more as like to take it more like a consultative approach as we get you more familiar with digital freight matching, automation, and just the integration. It makes it so easy just to have carriers coming to you wanting to engage digitally rather than you having to like go and call the same carriers that are posted out there for the same days every time. So it is beauty in having that instant integration, I'd say. I've got one here, like, what does a subscription look like for C4? We are a right now currently a monthly subscription, so there's very little risk, ton of reward, ton of benefit. We don't lock you into your contract. We've got some discounts and savings opportunities there if you wanted to. It's typically with integrations, we will call it like our digital freight matching add-on. So it's really tiered based on your company size. It starts at $4.95 a month. So pretty palatable price to, kind of start booking more freight. You get all the bells and whistles of the tool. We didn't quite get into here today. So again, like if you are interested and you want to see a demo, I think the poll is still up there. So you still have some time to just let us know if you're interested, and we'll show you kind of the inside look of C4 and show you what else you can get outside of the integration. I think one of the things here is any fees to setting up. Some TMSs do. I think with you guys there, Henry, you want to kind of elaborate? Are there any fees to getting set up?
So if you're on the all access plan, which is our most popular plan, there's no fees. It's built right in. What we are looking at integrations as making it so that you have software that you need to build your company. We know that TMS does a lot for you, but doesn't mean that it's going to always do everything that you need to grow your company. So what we do is we try to pick the integrations that make the most sense, that customers of course ask us for, and that will help you grow your company. And we don't want to put barriers then for you not to use those integrations. I mean, if you were trying to grow your company, adding more money onto you to use them is not what we're looking at. We're looking to help you grow. And when you have a true partner like that, that's how you do grow. So anyway, so that's basically the reason we don't charge extra. So now I will say that if you do need to be on Pro to have the bidding part of C4, just because it's the reverse API coming into us. So you will have to be on the Pro version for that. You only have to be on the cloud version to send your loads to C4. So either of the online versions will work with C4, but the bidding you do have to be on Pro. So, but saying that, really no cost to set it up. If you're not on the all access, then give us a call and we'll let you know that if there are going to be any costs for that one.
Awesome. Yeah, transparency. That's right. We're going to go ahead and kind of conclude here. Henry, if anyone wants to reach out to you guys about more to learn more, either the integration or the TMS, how should they reach out to you?
Sure. Well, give us so our email, the support at is always the way to go with us. Let us know. We'll give you a call. You can also reach out directly to us at our regular phone number 954-252-0031 or sales@fmstms.com, either one. And and we can always help you get set up, hook, give you contacts to Chris if you need it, and anything else. And if you need to see more on any of our other offerings, Pro or any other integrations, we're here for you. So let us know.
Right on. And likewise for us as well, you can check us out at www.cargochief.com. LinkedIn's a good way for us too. We're pretty active there on LinkedIn. So follow us there and be in touch and in tune for more content. So I'm going to wrap this one up, and I appreciate everyone joining us today and hope you learned something, and stay tuned for follow-ups, and we'll be in touch. Y'all have a good week.
All right, thanks, Chris.
See ya.